Welcome to Unnamed Village, located 60 kilometres from the city of Nakhon Sri Thammarat in the south of Thailand near the mouth of the Pak Penang River. The village has around 200 people from 40 families. Their livelihoods are fully dependent on the fish farming industry. The village is Muslim, and this is reflected in the organisation and administration of civic affairs. The head man in the village is the well-respected and powerful imam of the mosque, Karim, who also administers all aspects of the fishing industry's operations and transactions. He oversees the civil and religious life of the village to organise marriages and settle local disputes.
My name is Karim. I am the Imam of the village. We have been using a middleman. He's a fish buyer from the city and he buys our fish one batch at a time and gives us a price for the fish. We know that the price he is paying is way below market price. We struggle to gauge the truth or lies about the middleman's claims about his expenses or the state of the market. Our relationship hasn't been good for the last few months as he hasn't been buying our fish. We worry he's discriminating against us for being Muslim. He says they are too small even for food processing. Our second problem is a glut in the national market for the fish farmed bass, which impacts our income. Our third issue is the smell of dried and rotting fish. Enormous amounts of plastic, paper and food waste which covers the ground and clusters around buildings. The NGO that implemented the fish farming left shortly after implementation and we haven't had any engagement since. We have approached an NGO that we have heard are doing good work in South Thailand and our government to see if we can work together to solve the issues our village is facing.
The first issue for the village is their middleman. They have a lack of trust and he isn't helping them make the best income that they can.
I think the problem that you're experiencing is a lack of capacity as well as a lack of trust with your trade members.
What can we do about the lack of capacity? We live so far away. Are there options for education for our young people?
We have a program for youth capacity building and economic engagement. This program delivers targeting training sessions, learning methods and ongoing coaching for the youth in developing countries about entrepreneurship skills for business success. It is a capacity building and upskilling program which will give the youth business life skills they may need to successfully generate an adequate income.
That sounds great. Would that mean you come here or we send our youth away?
The training is based in Nakhon Sri Thammarat.
Okay, what can we do about the trust issues with our trading partners?
Our government has empowered many small businesses through access to national and even international markets by promoting the One Tambon, One Product Smallholder Cooperative Initiative since 2001. We've been increasing OTOP's reach through the Thailand 4.0 policy suite to strengthen Thailand's representation in the digital economy. Someone, somewhere wants your product and we will help them find you.
I have heard about the government co-ops not working well. I'm not sure about the government being involved.
Objectively, those who have opted into the OTOP program have experienced great economic prosperity. You cannot look at the numbers and say it is against the interests of your people to continue without us.
The reality of implementing an OTOP is more complex than numbers can show. Elsewhere, OTOPs have formalised existence, dominance hierarchies and weakened the agency of community members in decision making. If Karim wants to detract from the value of discourse in the village majlis, our meeting place, then this change should be discussed in the existing forums. Though I believe that the majlis should play a role in empowering both workers and the community with the necessary voice if we want to ensure everyone stays committed.
Cooperatives have become viable means of enabling small producers to compete with larger producers and enabling them to reach markets while protecting them from exploitation. For instance, the crux of a successful cooperative is keeping producers committed both in consumer markets and collective action. Our goal would be to establish a managing body separate from us and separate from the villagers, to manage affairs related to production while continually providing capacity building through information exchanges. This is far more viable in the long term than keeping us around as a crutch. You will lose some independence to the cooperative, but we intend to make them as rewarding as possible.
If we would have a co-op, would that mean we had to work on Fridays, as that is our day of prayer?
No, you wouldn't have to. If we were to establish a smallholder co-op, our interest would be in establishing it with producers of similar social, economic and cultural circumstances in the area. This would enable us to establish a widely accepted rule set that might include one against work on Fridays. This would protect anyone from being compelled by a competitive producer who started 7-day-a-week production.
It seems that your village's reliance on a single product is causing some issues. Lack of diversity has become a problem for many fishing villages that have transitioned away from traditional practices.
Yes, we were finding it difficult to get a consistent catch sometimes, and regulations were increasing. But in the old days, if one thing was scarce, we would change to fishing something else. For a while, moving to different areas and having to go to deeper waters. A conservation NGO came and we changed to cage farming aquaculture. But now we cannot get a good price for bass. We have no other product to sell at the market.
Have you thought about diversification as a solution for the village's economic problems?
Yes, but I don't know what diversification would look like in our village, or if we can even do something like that.
Your village could look at farming another type of seafood in the aquaculture cages. We could look at other species that are suitable for these estuarine waters, for example catfish or groper. What we can do is come to a town meeting and give you information about the marine species we think could work. We would provide information on things like feeding and equipment requirements and market viability. Then together we can set up a trial with a chosen species to see if it works in real life. This trial can take 6 months to a year. Some species take months to grow to a harvestable size. Your current system will probably need some adjustments, and your village will probably need some time to decide whether they think it will work for them long term.
Seaweed farming is another option you could explore. There is a demand for it in the processed food industry, and it has a relatively low environmental impact.
These sound like good suggestions. I will discuss this option with the rest of the village. But what about our sea bass farm? We have put a lot of work into it and we want to make it work.
Yes, we can definitely help you improve your current practices. And in the future, if you like, we can check in on both the progress of your new industry and the sea bass. If you think aspects of the fish farm needs adjusting, we can make suggestions. We always aim for approaches that are sustainable for you and long term.
We haven't been able to solve the issue of the rotting fish smell or the waste pollution in our village. Does anyone have any ideas on what we can do?
If we help you adjust the practices of your fish farm, this problem should decrease. We'll talk to your village about when to harvest and how to prevent overproduction. You will still have some fish waste, but there are ways to make use or dispose of it that can be beneficial for you. What have you been doing with leftover fish before now?
We have just been dumping the dried fish along with any sea bass that isn't fit to sell because it's unhealthy or damaged. There's a spot near the village, the same place we dump our household waste.
Oh, okay. Well, one of the methods for utilising the potential waste is a fish fertiliser, which comprises of fish waste, seaweed and pine bark.
Do we have access to pine bark?
Yes, pine bark is grown in northern Thailand, but does also grow in southern Thailand, where your village is. The co-op could also help bring in the pine bark for you. Your government right now has a waste to energy policy in Thailand, except this has the potential to cause more harm than good. NGOs like us should be lobbying the government. With the help of people like you, we might make a point to them.
It would be good if that was a government program, but what can we do now?
Right now, we can help your community to create sustainable waste management techniques, which can combat the waste problem you're having.
What are these waste management strategies?
We have another program which can effectively help the waste problem you're currently experiencing. Through innovated and integrated waste recycling schemes, the village's resource efficiency can increase and better enable a sustainable future for the village. This project avoids waste collection and landfill options of waste management and instead strives to treat waste at the source.
This sounds like a viable scheme, but how will it work in our village?
The project members will work with your community to help create a sustainable waste management plan that will work for your village.
So you're proposing a localised waste management strategy, diversification, business training for our youth and working with similar villages. These sound like some good options for our waste and economic issues. I will need to take your ideas back to the village and discuss them with everyone.